You unlock this benefit with the key of Patreon. Beyond is another dimension. A dimension of thought. A dimension of speculation. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both waffle and substance. Of things and ideas. You've just crossed into the podcast zone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Trekking Through the Twilight Zone. I've now decided that's our official title because I quite like the sound of it when we were doing it before. And as always, I'm joined by Julian. Julian, how are you doing? You okay?
I'm doing great. I'm somewhere in the Twilight Zone every day.
Yes. It feels like that, doesn't it, at times? It really does feel like we're just in the Twilight Zone. Something weird happening. You know, we have a blonde buffoon as a prime minister. It's off of the Twilight Zone. Right, but we are carrying on with our trekking through the Twilight Zone, and we are starting for you today with Mirror Image, the story of a young woman who sees her doppelganger, multiple, there are several in this sort of episode, at a bus station in the early hours, waiting for a bus. Before I start, this episode really creeped me out for some reason. Like, proper struck a chord with me, this one. So we'll get into it. But Julian, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I've gone through the Twilight Zone before, and I don't remember a lot of the episodes consciously. And as soon as I saw that bus stop, that bus depot, I was like, "Oh, I love this! This is great." I like this episode a lot. I think that its weakest or most interesting point is that there winds up not being any explanation at the end, and this is, you know, a trope that kind of, I guess this is the first case of that, but it starts happening occasionally. You get these episodes, but I love all of the events, and I really identify with this character.
Yeah, it's an interesting episode because the setup is a young woman in a bus stop, and the bus is late, so she goes to the sort of the guy behind the till, behind the cage, and says, you know, when's it going to come in? Proper crabby, just sort of basically says, like, it'll be in when it's in. You know, it's raining, it's whatever, it's late. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. Stop me moaning. And he actually says, you know, this is the same as when you asked 15 minutes ago.
And 30 minutes before that.
And 30 minutes before that, yeah. And he says, like, you know, you just keep asking. And so she's like, no. This is the first time I've come up. And then she says, and then she recognizes that she has an identical version of her bag. Her luggage is checked in and all this other stuff. And then the best scene in this film, so it sort of escalates to sort of things like she thinks she's going crazy, and she runs into the bathroom, and then she's sort of, again, a bathroom attendee, or there's a woman cleaning it, says, well, you've just been in here, like, you know, you all right? And she opens the door and sees in the reflection herself sitting in the chair on the bench. And it was that shot and another one that really sort of bothered me. It was so creepy that, you know, and this doppelganger, you know, is blatantly evil.
How so?
So okay, the other scene is sort of you know, because at first I thought of, like, you know, Mirror Universe, sort of Star Trek. I was expecting the evil version to have a goatee, and they didn't. But when it comes to the bus arrives, and she's sort of like made friends with this gentleman in the bus station, and she goes to get on the bus, and all you see is her sort of scream, and she falls backwards and passes out.
She runs back in and then passes out. Yeah.
And what you see, it sort of pans up to see that her doppelganger has taken her seat on the bus. And the doppelganger gives this smirk of sort of like, I take it as like satisfaction. It's almost like I've done, you know, beyond this point, I have now taken over because I'm going to reach your destination and sort of like take over your life. So
I don't see that at all. I didn't see on that face an awareness of what had just happened. I am not convinced that the doppelganger on the bus saw what was to her her doppelganger run away, scream and run away. I'm not sure that that's clear. I mean, it's also not clear why this guy with her, she doesn't even ask, like, did you look up? Did you see me? It's not clear that that doppelganger is the same as the doppelganger sitting on the seat in the mirror. And it's also not clear that that doppelganger on the bus will arrive at the destination. That is very unclear to me. I don't think that is the case. Then you're duplicating people. And, there's one Millicent Barnes who's institutionalized, and there's another one who got to Portland.
That's exactly what I see it. Because, I mean, she gives, it's not an explanation because it's not validated, but she does say that about what she read. And she says, no, I've read this thing about like changelings, almost like, this idea of doppelgangers, that they'll come and they'll they come in from another dimension, this idea of dimensional crossover, and how they are here to, they have to replace you. And it's not done until they can fully replace you. And so, like, her being institutionalized and being taken out of the way is opening the path for this other doppelganger to complete this thing of taking over her life and duplicating her. So at the end of this, there was
spoilers. I mean, that might be the plot of the next Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's her theory. I mean, I don't know. Like, and it doesn't explain the bag appearing and disappearing and people saying, I just talked to you. I mean, if some sort of agent, a sort of doppelganger, were going up and talking to the check-in person, you would presume she in the same room would see it. I don't know that there's a single, I mean, I sort of see it as like, if there's any explanation, it's like, this is just like a bus depot on a ley line. The bus depot is like just in the Twilight Zone, and weird shit. Like, time is kind of screwed up here. It's like those cons, those old places where they make the house at an angle, and they'd say gravity's strange here. This is like gravity, time is a little weird here. Or something like that, or the dimensions kind of cross here.
I was going to say, it's just like a cross, but they're bleeding into each other, sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can see that, but the very ending of the episode is the gentleman who she's made friend sees his and runs after him. Like, it literally ends with
his bag disappears, and then he chases his doppelganger.
Yeah, so he's chasing that other one down. So. Yeah, like you say, there's no real explanation for this one, but for me, it felt like I took it as there was intent in that activity. I love the fact it is so creepy, though, that there isn't sort of like, there isn't anybody to follow. She sees glimpses, like her bag disappears, then it reappears, and then she's been seen by these other people, but she's clearly not been there. And she's sat. The thing as well, as you see, she's been sat in front of the ladies' bathroom. That's where she's been sat. And then so when this woman, she goes in and she's, I've just seen you 2 minutes ago. Like, no, that's not possible, because I've literally just been sat looking at this door. It clearly shows there's something, supernatural going on. But does it have intent?
Yeah, I don't know. I may be more on the side of it's not clear or there is no intent. But I'm interested in, like, okay, so you're saying like it creeped you out. I mean, it creeps me out too, but I really identify with this. And maybe it's because I don't know about identity, and I'm confused by, I think our notions of consistent identity are problematic at best. I sometimes look at myself in the mirror and am shocked I look like that. Or I'll sort of forget what my face looks like. And I'm also sort of have always been sort of an absent-minded professor. And the thing that this is, I would like go down to the laundry room, and I'm thinking about, like, astronomy or whatever it is that I'm thinking about. And then by the time I get down there, I have no idea why I went down there, go back upstairs, and I'd repeat this like 3 times. Now the thing that I do is I leave coffee everywhere, and I would get another mug. I'd get a mug of coffee. The coffee's cold. I'll open the microwave to put the coffee in the microwave, and there's another mug of coffee in the microwave. Now I know, and I don't remember putting it there. That's creepy sometimes,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, the thing of not recognizing your own face is like that's just getting old. I swear, I do that. I look back and go like, "Fuck, I'm not 25 anymore." Jesus.
But I did that when I was younger too.
Yeah.
I mean,
there is one thing you say about mirror image, and there's two things I can relate to what you're saying. There are two things I can relate to. Is I think I'm very, I would say generic, like in general terms. I'm I'm tall. I'm a big guy. I've got a bald head and a beard. If I walk into a room or I walk into a pub, all right, and stand at a bar, you're probably going to see four of me. Sort of like general sort of big blokes with bald heads and beards. Like it's a very sort of thing where, you're going to look in. It does become a little bit like, yeah, I'm just one of these doppelgangers wandering around. But the other thing that you sort of simply, I don't know if you've done this. If you look intently into the eyes of your reflection, that scares the crap out of me, and I can never pin down why. But I think part of it is I'm scared that my reflection is going to look away before I do. But yeah, I know what you mean. This thing of having this doppelganger, this idea of this thing out there mirroring me, like, really creeps me out. Like I've really sort of this idea of coming home and finding the door being answered by me, or something like that. And there's obviously this idea in folklore, this idea of the changeling, where fairy folk or something would take the baby and replace it with a thing, and it'd just sort of be off, and it's this thing of it's that sort of thing. And so yeah, this idea of sort of there being this other version, and I'm quite, I won't say I'm subscribed to it, this idea of multiple dimensions or whatever. Don't understand it enough to really comment on it, but I would say, like, it's possible, very very possible, but yeah, I don't know what, it just creeps me out, this idea that, like, because the people do say about seeing their doppelgangers, don't they? They see, like, even in time, the amount of times you see photos that sort of like, there was a thing, was it Keanu Reeves or Hugh Jackman? I can't remember. Or Nick Cage. Sorry, is Nick Cage a vampire? Because there's pictures of someone from the American Civil War that's like a total like dead ringer for Nick Cage. So facial features only can do so much, and so yeah. But this sort of felt different.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you come at this from multiple perspectives, but you come at this sort of more from a sort of like supernatural perspective. And I'm not discounting that, but I come at this, also from a sort of mental illness perspective of like, I can totally imagine. I've also been through multiple concussions. And I've had like my memories of a day mixed up where I will insist, like, no, we had coffee there and so was with, you're like, no, that never happened. That was with a different group of people. And it's like, I know you're right, but my identity is like cracking as I'm speaking. And I realize, my concept of self and memory is not what I thought it was, And so I know how horrifying this is, but I really identify with it.
Yeah, no, but as I said, that's why I think this episode's so good, because it's a good one to dig into. It's a fascinating episode. One of the things I'll say about this episode is it's shot so minimalistic. This is such a sort of like, this is one set really, and this whole thing, and it's played so, it rests on the shoulders really of this one character. And this idea of her desperation and her sort of like you say about her cracking, like this is her breaking down to the extent that she is taken away at the end to an institution, and so yeah, she's really good in this. By the way, I couldn't tell you the actress' name. I'm sorry, I can't do that. But
Sarah Miles.
Yes, she's excellent in this. Of like just this idea of like every time someone says, "What are you feeling for?" She's like, "No, I haven't. Stop saying this." And she sort of like gets wound up and sort of like So yeah, no, she was great in it. But I really enjoyed this episode, and I say it really creeped me out. Any final comments, though, Julian, before we wrap up on this one episode?
I love this episode. One minor final note is how nice everybody is. Like, despite the attendant being grumpy, it's like the Twilight Zone, for the most part, occurs in a universe in which just people are fundamentally nice to each other.
Yeah.
And
they help each other out.
Yeah, it's like this guy is talking to the baggage check guy, and he's like, boy, I really feel for her. I guess the police, I've got to call the police, they're going to institutional. But it's like, they really care about, he misses his bus, boy, people are nice in this universe.
Yeah. Having said that, the only thing I would say as well that sort of stood out for me, because I think we said quite a lot about this episode, is in the opening narration, when Serling's giving his sort of intro, there's a moment where he describes her as he basically bigging her up, saying she's not one for sort of flights of fancy and that, and says she has an outstanding qualification that many would describe as a good head on her shoulders. Like, it's not, she's a business, she's a career woman, and like you said, that doesn't mean much in 1960. And she has the gleaming, or the glowing qualification of a good head on her shoulders. And I was like, is that supposed to be a compliment? Like,
it is a little infantilizing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what you'd say about a kid. Like, well, they're going off to college, but don't worry, like, she's got a good head. He's got a good head on his shoulders, it'll be okay.
Yeah. It just stood out to me as being quite, a comment of the times, really. Definitely something from 1960. But no, this was a good episode. A cracking episode, and got some really good sort of suspense and horror moments. So I enjoyed this one. But yeah, if that's it, Julian, I think we're done. I think we've hit our limit, and the trekking will continue in the next episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and we shall speak to you in the next episode.